Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Edge podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer McCormack. This is a place where we will deep dive into all things that drive your passion, purpose, and life's endeavors. We will take a look at the beliefs, behavioral patterns, energetic blocks, and all those juicy things that can either hold you back or propel you forward to creating the business and life that you love in a balanced way. These, combined with your business strategies, will give you the entrepreneurial edge. Today, we are going to talk getting out of the funk. Because let's face it, there are so many reasons why we could be in a funk. But the truth is being in our own little funks doesn't benefit us long term. Can it benefit us short term? Absolutely. And they are all the things that I want to go through today in how being in the funk is good for you, but also knowing when to come out of it. Let's face it, being in the funk is never a fun spot to be in. And like I said before, there are so many reasons why we can be there. And to be honest with you, the underlying reason at the moment doesn't really matter whether you feel it's a big reason or a small reason. The size of it is actually irrelevant. But what is more relevant is how you feel and what it's preventing you from doing. Some of us sit in the funk for 5 minutes, but some of us actually sit in the funk for days, weeks, and sometimes even years. And these are the things that really prevent us from moving forward, prevent us from, doing those things that we want to do, because it also brings in procrastination. And that sometimes it can prevent us from living the life we want to live. So, number one is, what is the purpose of a funk? Now, the truth is that every thought and feeling is with us for a reason. It's there because something in our external world has triggered it to come back around. Most of our thoughts, feelings, emotions occur and come into our world and our first experience throughout our childhood. And most of the time these come back around to ask us to learn, develop, and evolve through those emotions so we can get to the other side, so we can then move forward exactly how we want to. So what I think is so important for every one of us to understand is that being in the funk is totally okay. You are okay and totally allowed to be upset. You are allowed to be anxious. You are allowed to be pissed off or annoyed. You are allowed to be depressed. You are allowed to be unmotivated. You're allowed to have a bad day. But what's also important here is to self-parent ourselves out of these zones. Because the longer you stay here, the more the body actually can't cope. And when I say that, I'm looking from a physical perspective, is that when we have these feelings that don't feel good, you can call them negative, but I like to see them as just feelings that don't feel good for us. They put our body in a fight or flight sort of stage. And during this stage, our body chemically goes into overdrive to help balance it out. Our body wants us to be in homeostasis. Our body wants us to be in balance. And so it'll do as much as it can to try and achieve that. So when we are anxious, when we're upset, when we're annoyed, our body tries to compensate for that. But when we hold on to those feelings for a prolonged period of time, that's when dis-ease occurs within our body. That's when we feel the muscle aches and pains, because we're holding on to things for much longer than we actually needed them. So my question for you is, yes, it's okay to be upset, but how long do you want to stay there? If you want to go technical for a second, it takes 1.5 minutes to transcend an emotion. And the way that that can be done is to fully feel into it. If you've ever noticed, sometimes when you try and feel into emotion, it can be really hard. And there's so many factors that prevent us from fully feeling into it. And that's because our brain is designed to keep us safe, not to allow us to thrive or to succeed. It's purely there to keep you alive. So when we feel into a negative emotion, it will try and do everything it can from preventing us going there, because it doesn't feel good. So we get distracted easily. Our mind wanders. But if we can hold that emotion and fully feel into its core, it will actually transcend in approximately 1.5 seconds. No, sorry, 1.5 minutes. 1.5 seconds, that's super fast. I've actually never experienced this by myself. I've experienced it with a coach, a therapist, to help me hold it there. But there are so many ways you can do this on your own. But the first thing I'd ask you is, how long do you want to stay in that zone for? How long do you want to stay upset? How long do you want to stay anxious? How long do you want to stay pissed off? And there's no right or wrong answer here. There's only the answer that works right for you. I remember a few years ago when I miscarried my little girl, and I sat in grief for a week. Now, I know many people encouraged me to move from that a lot quicker, but I didn't feel ready. And to be honest with you, when going through the experience, I didn't know when I was going to be ready to move forward. But I remember about 7 days later, I was on the phone to my dad, and he asked me how I was, and I said to him, I've had enough of crying, I'm done. And he said to me, so what's next? That moment is the moment I knew that I had grieved as much as I could, and it was time for me to take that next step forward into anything else that I wanted to feel. So yes, if you really wanted it to, 1.5 minutes is all it takes, but we're all so different. We all experience things differently. We all process things differently. So it's really important for you to be honest with yourself, but also to not allow yourself to procrastinate there and to live there. Because as we mentioned earlier, it does have tremendous side effects on the physical body, our mental body, and how we create our lives going forward. And that's why I call it parenting ourselves, because we act as our own inner parent. If your child was sitting in a feeling that didn't feel great, how long would you allow them to sit there for? And go from that perspective. So number one, it's okay not to be okay. And it's really important to understand that we don't have to ignore our feelings, push them aside just to get on with things. And I find this is a very much the perspective a lot of us have been brought up to understand. Just get on with it, it'll be okay. But unless you really process and learn and move through the emotions in your way, they will actually never go, and they will arise at a different moment in time. The next thing that I personally do to help process what is going on is journaling. putting down all your thoughts and feelings on paper is such a therapeutic process. Now, it's really important here, and I know I've probably said this so many times, but actually taking old school pen to paper is the best way to do it. And the reason for that is it ignites thousands more neural pathways in the brain than if we jump on a computer or if we just think through our thoughts and feelings. So igniting those neural pathways helped disconnect old ones and reconnect new ones. What that basically means is new thought patterns are produced, new perspectives, new awarenesses are had, and that is one of the most powerful things that can come out of journaling. So literally, all you need here is 20 minutes putting pen to paper, and you will notice a massive difference. Now, by journaling, it's not actually going to get rid of your problem. It's not going to get rid of the reason why you're anxious. It's not going to get rid of the reasons why you're pissed off. But what is going to happen, it is going to help you move forward from a clearer perspective. Now, the third point that I've got here to help move you through your funk is to get moving. Now, this is just another layer of, what we spoke about with journaling. So journaling helps free our mind from some negative thoughts and feelings and helps give us a different perspective, while moving enables us to reorganize the chemistry within our body. When I say get moving, the more aerobic the exercise, the better for this task. All those endorphins just want to release, and this is a really good way for the body to help bring it back to that homeostasis place. It not only does that, but it'll also help raise your energy and vibration as well. You're getting all that blood flowing, you're getting all that beautiful oxygen in, you're helping all that serotonin, that happy hormones, those happy chemistries within your body release and make you feel good. Now, the bottom note that I have on both moving and the journaling is that they don't solve your problem. And this is what I see time and time again, is that we exercise, we feel good, we move on, then our mood goes down again, so we exercise, we feel good, we move on, and it becomes a vicious cycle. And this is why I find that a lot of people, especially in today's age, are addicted to exercise because of the way it makes them feel. And while it does make us feel good, the one thing exercise will never do for us is solve a problem. That we must action ourselves. What exercising and journaling does do for us, it helps us create a clear perspective, a clear mind, a rational mind to then take the next step. Now, after exercise, the next step here I find the most productive in helping us do just that. And after exercise, we all, I'm going to say most of us, miss out on stretching. And I'm not talking about that 30-second stretch that we have at the gym just to tick the box. I'm talking about a good 5-10 minute stretch to really help get into all those muscles of the body that we have just worked out. Stretching those arms out, stretching those legs out, and really opening ourselves up. Now, this not only opens up your muscles, but it opens up your physicality. And we know when we need a state change, an emotional, mental state change, that having a physical state change is a great way to go about that. That's why I really encourage, besides that your body will love you for stretching after physical exercise, it really does help your mental state as well. But after that stretch, just lie there. Lie there in Savasana for 2 to 5 minutes. Just focusing on your breath. And in this space that you've created for yourself, ask yourself one question, which is, what do I need to do to move forward from here? And I normally don't expect more than 1 or 2 actionables to come in here. But these are the actionables that enter into our mind, call it from your intuition, to help you move forward. And the reason why we don't do this any earlier is because we are so emotionally tied up, so emotionally invested in the problem. But when we journal that out, when we help our body and our mind get back to balance, we can then start to move forward from a clear mind. And allowing those thoughts to come into our intuition in that quiet space, in that time after we've just filled our body with oxygen, is the absolute best time to do that. And I've never had anyone that couldn't write down at least one thing to do. And this is the thing that is in pure alignment with you, because you have allowed space for it to enter it in. This way you can move forward from a place of flow, from that place of alignment, from that place of ease, instead of pushing your way forward through the mental, emotional anguish. I always say that when we push ourselves forward, it's kind of like climbing a mountain in stilettos. It's so hard and it takes up so much energy, while there is a way to move forward with ease and flow, and it's about creating the space for you to do that. Now, these 4 steps that I've just said are literally my ways and the ways that I give my clients to help them, but there are so many other ways. So I would love you in this to let me know if you personally have found a way that works for you, because I would love to hear it, and maybe we could share it with the community to help them back and to help everyone get their groove and flow back into life. So if this has helped you, I would love you to share it with one other person to help them on their journey too, because let's face it, we all get in the funk sometimes. To stay connected and find out when a new episode will be released, head over to Instagram, where you will find me at Jennifer McCormack Kinesiology. Also, don't forget to leave a review and share this on your social so others can find it as well.